I worked 24/7. As a result of that, I really put all my relationships to the side. So I have about 14,000 employees. One third of them were sick, one third of them called in sick, and one third of them showed up to work. But the applications increased by 80%. My life doesn't depend and revolve around a job. So I don't think I knew who I was. I feel so calm, grounded, connected.
My name is Leah Flocchini. I'm from the United States, and I've been involved as an advanced trainer and a volunteer with the Oneness Movement for, almost 15 years now. And I'm here in this garden with Antonia Jimenez, who is from Puerto Rico, and we're going to just have a little chat about how you discovered the Oneness Movement in the first place.
Well, thank you for having me here, first of all. This is a beautiful, beautiful place and magical in many ways. So actually, it was Mercedes who invited me. I met her on a cruise, a professional cruise, and she reached out to me and she told me that you needed to come to Field of Awakening, and I was like, why? But she and Herbert both independently talked to me. And so I was like, I was going through this transition in my life, and I went from the ship, from the cruise ship, and actually registered and went to Florida. I think it was 3 days after the cruise ship ended. And I really enjoyed Shipritaji. I enjoyed the feel of awakening. And it just really opened me up to realize that, there are things that the way we think we really need to change. And so it opened that door for me.
Beautiful. What was your life like? What was your life experience like before you had that experience at the Field of Awakening with Shipritaji? What were your relationships like, your work like, your health like?
So I worked 24/7. I mean, literally, but I worked long hours. I had a huge staff, and all I thought about was how to make sure I do my job well. And that has been my trajectory all my life. And as a result of that, I really put all my relationships to the side. Even relationship with my parents and my sister and everybody. So my entire focus had been work. And I've been working since I was 14. And I've never stopped working until recently, where I stepped down from my job. And, I ran the largest social service program in the country in LA County. So it was rewarding to help so many people. 1 in every 3 LA County residents received some form of social services. But it was time for me to do something else.
Oh, how did it take its toll on you? That sounds pretty stressful.
Well, I think COVID, the job is stressful in and of itself, but COVID really added a lot of stress to the job because so I have about 14,000 employees. One third of them were sick, one third of them called in sick, and one third of them showed up to work. But the applications increased by 80%. So the applications for healthcare and for food stamps really increased. So we had to maintain the production level. We had to make sure that people in this time of need were able to get the services that they needed. So it was all focused on that.
What a beautiful, beautiful job, beautiful thing that you did for them. And it sounds like it kind of did take its toll on you a bit. When you discovered these new teachings or insights, which one stands out that kind of was your aha moment with the Oneness Movement?
I think the one that, and I actually thought about it a lot last night, the one that sticks out to me is you always hear a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but I don't think people really understand what that means. And I think the teachings of Shipritaji and Shri Krishnaji really, really spell that out in a simple but very profound way. And so when they explain how a mind, they don't use the phrase "a mind is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to waste," or they use different words. But what you realize is that we're so in our minds, we're so in our heads, and that we don't even take the time to really live in the present moment. And we're either living in the past or we're living in the future, and we don't really are in the present moment. And therefore, when we're in the past or we're in the future, there's no way that we can actually solve problems because we're in our heads and we're stressed out. And so what was interesting to me is when I chose to come to tapas, people will ask me, why are you going to India? And I knew nothing about tapas. Just everybody who said, you got to come, it's beautiful time. And I would say, without knowing what tapas was about, I would say I need to deal with my suffering state. And then that's all we learned about how the mind can control you, how the mind can get you to stay unfocused, and how the mind can get you not even to enjoy the life that we have today, the beautiful life that the universe gives us. So
Beautiful. Really beautiful. Well said.
thank you.
So I know that in all the programs that Shri Pritaji and Shri Krishnaji offer, Field of Awakening and Tapas, etc., you learn the basic tenets that there are only two states we can live in. One is a suffering state and one is a non-suffering state, or we could say a beautiful state and a stressful state. They also teach two really simple meditation practices: serene mind, which is only 3 minutes long, and the soul sync. I know you practice those,
Oh,
Antonia.
yes.
What results have you had doing those practices on a regular basis?
Well, let me first start by saying that when you think about that statement, you either live in a suffering state or a non-suffering state. Like when you really do a profound thinking about that statement, you realize there is only two states. Either I'm happy or I'm unhappy, right? Like there's no maybe I'm happy and maybe I'm unhappy, right? It's either one or the other. And so what serene mind and pretty much soul sync does for me, because when I left my job, I was still in the job, right? Because you went from having a daily schedule, go here, go here, go here, go here, do this, sign this, read that, go to that meeting, call this person, right? And so the chatter was still in my brain, and the chatter was in my brain for other reasons too, other personal reasons, issues that I was dealing with. But soul sync, it's what, 12 minutes, and it just calms you down. It's like you can't even believe. Like when I would get into my headspace, I would just, wherever I was, I would go do soul sync. And I think that it was one of the things that really calmed me down. I feel like every therapist in the world should give soul sync to their patients.
What a great idea. Really. So, you've done several programs with the Oneness Movement, including Tapas and Field Awakening, and now you do some of their practices on a regular basis. How has that impacted your relationships, your health, and your work?
So I'm in transition right now. So with work, I actually started to write a book with a friend of mine called The Precipice of Change, because she's going through transformation and so am I. And so I think that gave me some clarity as to, like, I don't have to be in a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job, that I can really do things that are meaningful to me. And the one thing that was really important for me was that I wanted to make sure that I helped, I call them my people, but just low income families who are struggling. That has always been in my heart and my passion. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I take what I've learned here and share it with them?
Beautiful.
Because if you can share it with them, you're changing generations, like lifetime generations.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's made me a little more patient, because I was very impatient. My friends probably say I'm still impatient, but I'm working towards it. And it just gave me more focus and more clarity that my life doesn't depend and revolve around a job. You know, that there are other things, nature, there's family, there's friends, there, you know, things you can do to get to know who you really are. Because I don't think I knew who I was.
Beautiful. What a great endeavor.
Hmm.
So, if you could describe your state now versus that frenetic little state that you had prior, how would you describe your state in one or two sentences? Besides more patient.
I think that the fact that I feel so calm and I feel so grounded, but I also feel so connected. Right? I feel like I have the tools to really continue to grow spiritually because it's in one of my goals since I'm 14, I believe. Spiritual development is something that's really important to me. And I've done so many things, but I don't think I've ever been in a place where you just can like know you're leaving the calm states and going into a suffering state, right? And have the tools to say no. I get it. I'm going down that road, but I don't want to lose this calmness that I have, and I want to think and build and prosper from that state.
Beautiful.
No.
So it sounds like what you're saying is actually very practical. I mean, we call it spiritual, but it also has a very practical element and it's very relevant for what people, the challenges that many people, especially low income families, deal with on a regular basis. On that realm, do the programs that they offer, are they practical? Are there is it easy to access the tools and practices?
Oh, I think it's very practical and it's very easy, and the tools are so simple. And the thought process, like I said, it sounds easy, but when you keep peeling the onion, you realize how profound they really are. And if you could just take the moment to step back and analyze it, you can actually see how practical it is to put in place in your own life. But that's something that is like they walked us through that here. That's something that you have to bring to people because had I not met Mercedes and Herbert, I would not have known about this, right? And so I would like to make sure that everybody and anybody that I am able to impact can actually get access to these tools.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your vision to take this beautiful tool, these tools, the wisdom and the movement out. We hope to see a lot more of you. Anything you want to say to close?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, here being in India, you could see that Sri Pritaji and Sri Krishnaji have really put a lot of thought and effort into the teachings to make it simple and to make it easy for us to implement in our lives. And so I'm very grateful to everyone in the community for that.
Also, I'm going to close by saying how excited we all are that the Oneness Movement is now moving out of India for the international population. And in the next coming year, we'll have this Tapas Beautiful program in 3 different places of the world, in Japan, in Europe, and in USA. So it'll be much easier to invite our family and friends, Antonia, and the
Yes.
people that we work with and love. So let's see that happening. Let's see much more of this spreading like beautiful wildfire throughout the world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leah. I really appreciate it.